What's going on, everybody? The wolf whose secret identity has yet to actually ever be a secret, and I have some more interesting topics to discuss today. Now, after the overwhelming support of the last commentary, of a total of 1 like and 10 views, I decided I would go ahead and talk about a general theme of journalism today. It's a very fascinating subject, I'm sure everyone can agree with that. Essentially, when it comes to journalism and news articles, they all love to do the same thing. Everyone copies everyone else, just like commentary channels on YouTube. It's pretty garbage, it's a cesspit. One person makes up the story, and the rest of the people who have their own crappy news articles follow. So when they do end up taking that story, same story, everyone uses the same stories, they throw in random anecdotes to make it their own. They add details to the story that were never there to begin with. And they also apply their opinions in their message whenever they're writing it, so that they can cater the message more towards people who like to click on those articles. They write in a certain style that they know people will click on, and people are opinionated, so they're going to click on the same things that agree with what they already think. They don't really have their own original opinions. That's basically what this is all about. A lot of them like to do clickbait, just like on YouTube. Clickbait is the same for news articles as well. So things I try to look for. Are they informative? Are they pandering? Are they off the mark in general? Are they of valuable insight? And are they effective at conveyance of their message? Basically, what are they trying to do? Are they trying to inform, persuade, get clicks, or mislead? And this brings me to a very important concept when it comes to the news and media in general. Bias. Now, news networks obviously will try to claim to be unbiased, but that is literally impossible to be unbiased. Bias comes with basically everything you do that requires judgment, because that judgment is going to be based on your past experiences. So claiming to be unbiased is simply just ignorant. What you can try to do is be as objective as possible and portray both sides in neither a positive or negative light. That is the closest way you can be to unbiased as possible, is by being more objective. But bias is pretty much impossible to avoid, so it's pretty ignorant when they try to claim that they're unbiased. So, if you see any news reporters out there or something like that who claim that they are unbiased in all their, lack of opinions, they're just blowing smoke. So, now I think what I'm going to do to demonstrate my point for these articles, because, I like to back up my stuff with evidence. I'm just going to look at a bunch of random articles on my phone and fact check them, do all sorts of, background research, and then just read them to see if they are effective at conveying what they're trying to convey, as well as trying to discern what their actual message is. Are they trying to give you a story? Are they trying to get you to think a certain way? Let's see. Vanessa Guillen reported sexual harassment before she was killed, Army says. Okay. I'm not sure who Vanessa Guillen is, but sure, we'll look it up. So, I'll go ahead and get my screen recorder on so that I have a nice visual to complement this. So let's see, that's Vanessa Guillen. Vanessa Guillen. Who is she? Alright, so already we have a nice little problem right there. Google, can you, stop? No, stop. Alright, so, it looks like she's actually in, or she was in the Army. Let's see. So, yeah, already we have 3 different news sources covering the same subject. Oh, psych, make that 6. Psych, make that 9. Some of them even use the same picture, which is kind of disturbing, they couldn't come up with their own thing. Although I'm pretty sure they had limited pictures. That's not what the main point is, though. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of compare these two articles, because this is from the Texas Tribune, and this is from CNN, the one that's on my computer. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little compare and contrast, some fat Venn diagram that you did in grade school or whatever. So, more than a dozen Army officers and non-commissioned soldiers face disciplinary actions related to response to Army Vanessa Guillen's disappearance and murder at Fort Hood, Texas last year. I'm not laughing at the story, just my inability to read. Let's see. Personnel faced discipline for a variety of failures, and investigators found Guillen was also sexually harassed. Okay, so this one, that's pretty much on the back burner, but on this one, it is the central focus. So we know that from the Texas Tribune that it's more important that she was sexually harassed, whereas with CNN, they just kind of put it on the back burner and are more focused on the murder aspect of it. Let's see, missing since April 2020. Let's see. Report indicates was sexually harassed on 2 occasions, but her supervisor failed to report it, and other leaders failed to take appropriate action. Now, for those of you in the military, you already know that that's definitely against what you're supposed to do. And people who aren't in are able to see that this probably wouldn't be appropriate for any workplace, just not reporting it. Let's see, Robinson allegedly murdered Guillen by bludgeoning her to death with a hammer. So, allegedly. Let's go ahead and click on this fat hyperlink. We have a second article written about the same subject, so it must have been a slow news day. I'm not saying that this isn't an important story to cover, but, 2 articles on the same subject is a little redundant when you can just, put all the information in one article. They probably just wanted to branch it out so that you have to click on different hyperlinks if you want the full story. Increasing the amount of clicks and how much they make from the story, which is a pretty scummy thing to do. So it says alleged, so that means that they probably don't have enough evidence to suggest that.
Coming out about the death of Fort Hood soldier Vanessa.
Did I say you could speak? Shut up. Okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and read the article on my phone, see if it's any different. Oh, I love that. Sign up? No thanks. Piss off. Sign up for the brief, our daily newsletter, blah, blah, blah. That's just an advertisement. A U.S. Army investigator found this person being sexually harassed 2 times by a fellow. Okay, so the general information that it happened twice is there. So, let's see. Finding that contradicts the Army's previous claims that there was no evidence Guillen experienced harassment. Okay, so that information was actually not in here, at least not from what I've seen so far. Let's see. Fort found her supervisor at one point specifically targeted her, calling her out in front of her peers, and consistently made an example out of her. During the field training exercises, this same supervisor encountered SPC Guillen while she performed personal hygiene in the wood line at SPC. What the heck? Bro, you jacked up. That's freaking messed up. Let's see. Bipartisan effort on Capitol Hill to overhaul how military cases undergo decisions to seek prosecutions by taking away decisions to prosecute from the commanders in units where it occurs. Okay, you were very strange in your wording. Decisions, prosecutions, decisions, prosecute, decision, blah, 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 blah. Pretty much what it's trying to communicate here is something along the lines of, the current system is not effective and it needs to be updated. Let's see. Ooh, that's interesting. What about this one? Because this one has information that wasn't on this article. They're covering different aspects of the story. I'm not sure if all the details are accurate, which is an unfortunate, repercussion of, poor writing for certain articles, because sometimes they word things in a strange way, which leaves it open to, read the full redacted investigation of the Army released on Friday. This reference is not on here from what I see. Just a bunch of clickbait articles and a bunch of garbage. That's unfortunate. But, let's see. Ooh, this is an official document. I may have to get a picture of this up on the screen. If not, I'll probably just cover the highlights. Let's see. Harassed by blank. Leaders fail to take appropriate action. Specialist Guillen. Let's see. So essentially, this whole report, from what I can see, was that her supervisors failed to take appropriate action. RB disciplines officers and soldiers for handling of Vanessa Guillen's murder at Fort Hood. Disciplines officers and soldiers. I would probably say that this title is not accurate enough. Because the ones who should be disciplined or disciplined according to this document, which is like 271 pages long, so I'm not going to pull that up on the screen. But basically, it's more on her supervisors, but this one doesn't emphasize that enough with its title. Its title focuses... it doesn't focus on the main part. It only focuses on the murder aspect. It doesn't focus on the sexual harassment leading up to her murder, whereas this one focuses more on the sexual harassment and also mentions the killing. So the Texas Tribune did a better job at conveying this story. But overall, if you couldn't tell by my overall enthusiasm about this story, it is pretty repetitive, done to death by all these different ones. So let's see. Punishes more Fort Hood leaders after blank command. So some of these are focusing on one aspect or the other. Few of them are... Yeah, this one right here is probably one of the best titles that gets the whole story in there. A lot of the other titles, unfortunately, what they try to do is they set up a clickbait kind of title. They want you to click on it so that you find out more. Whereas with some of these headlines, you can tell basically the entire gist of the story just by reading the headline. Unfortunately, that means that they're probably not going to get a click, because I know personally I'm not going to click on that link because, one, I've already read 2 versions of the story, and 2, because it really well summarizes it. This one right here, which is surprising because I wasn't going to expect that from something like Yahoo News. Let's see. Accused of what? Military missteps allowed soldier accused of killing to flee. What do you mean by that? Okay, hold on. Now I'm curious. See, this one had a very interesting title because all the other ones focused on different aspects of this. The murderer got away is basically what that title is, but something tells me that that's clickbait and they don't actually have information that would confirm that. So let's see. Army investigators detained a fellow soldier in the killing of Specialist Vanessa Guillen just hours after her remains were found. But a series of missteps allowed the soldier to flee, then fatally shoot himself, according to an Army report released on Friday. Okay, so what happened then? Leaders did not respond appropriately. We know about that. It was devastating to all of us. Okay, so they have an anecdote that wasn't in the other 2 articles. So I want to just point that out. A lot of the time, that's what they do to make theirs stand out. They'll add anecdotes to make it seem more credible. But sometimes what they do is they add too many anecdotes, and then they don't actually have their own input, and then it just turns into a hodgepodge of he said, she said, and they don't actually get to the point. So let me see here. She was working at the armory. Reported missing the next day. They searched for her, couldn't find her. Her remains were found in a river in Texas. Okay, so actually that information is pretty valuable. That was not in the other ones. The Army report released on Friday lays out the first time the last hours of Specialist Robinson's life and the missteps allowed him to escape. The murderer. Wait, how did they say that? Okay, so Robinson, he is the accused guy. He's the one who allegedly committed the murder. They said alleged, though. And the problem with using stuff like certain verbiage like probably or alleged is that a lot of the time when you fact check them and, look at the background around it, it's not necessarily true. It could be slander or libel, I think, if it's for writing. Let's see. Authorities let him keep his cell phone, which they were monitoring. Okay, hold on. So is this getting into how he was able to get away with it? He appeared relaxed, the report said. While he was upset that he was being detained, he spent much of his time playing video games. He was being detained for violating COVID-19 quarantine rules and placed him in a conference room with an unarmed soldier guarding the door. He appeared relaxed. While he was upset that he was being detained, he spent much of his time playing video games. Okay, that's kind of interesting. That's probably not how it would have been treated where I was. Where I was, if you were violating COVID restrictions, you just go freaking straight to captain's mast. And that could be, you could get some punishable offenses, half pay for like a month or something like that. And at the very least, a harsh scolding and probably some restriction time. Let's see. He was allowed to keep his cell phone and play video games, which, yeah, that's definitely a great punishment to put someone under after violating a direct order, which, by the way, is a punishable offense under the UCMJ. Wait a minute. Just before 10 p.m., Specialist Robinson received a phone call that appeared to be from his mother. Don't believe what you hear about me, a guard heard him say. A few minutes after the call, Specialist Robin fled out the door. Okay, so you're telling me that this man was being guarded and the guard just let him waltz right out of there and just zip past him. Does that not count as like charging post or, fleeing criminal or something? I mean, you should have detained him. You shouldn't have been able to let him go. And if heaven forbid you weren't able to actually stop him, you should have called it in and been all like, hey, this guy freaking escaped. We need to detain him. And then freaking they'd be on him. There are so many people like Master at Arms and all that stuff. They definitely would have done something like that to take care of it. So I don't know why he was able to just escape that easily. Escaping that easily from the Army is a little worrisome. 3 hours later, Army and civilian police found Specialist Robinson in the city of Killeen, just outside the gates of Fort Hood. When confronted, the soldier pulled out a gun and killed himself. So you're telling me he was on restriction, he managed to get a gun, and he was able to shoot himself after escaping a guarded, armed door. How? Freaking how? Either he's really impressive or that guard really sucks at his job, because that definitely wouldn't have flown where I was. Man, that's just, that's upsetting, actually. So, let's see. Said he could not comment on the escape, saying it was part of a criminal investigation. The Army report found that a breakdown in communication between the soldiers' unit and criminal investigation agents allowed him to escape. Okay, so basically they didn't communicate, and the guy was able to just pop right out of there. That is upsetting and very concerning, actually. Now, Fort Hood. I kind of want to look that up now. Fort Hood. Oh, no, don't need a period there. Alright, so obviously an Army base in Texas. Let's see. Premier installation to train and deploy heavy forces. Okay, so you're telling me the training grounds for heavy forces had an armed guard watch this guy, and he was not only able to escape, but access a weapon and kill himself, all because they failed to communicate properly. I mean, I get they're in training, right? But it's for deployment of heavy forces. The fact that he was able to escape, that's just impressive. And I know the whole subject was supposed to be, talking about how poorly articles are usually written, but I'm just more invested in the story right now. So let's see. In both cases, no formal action was taken. And this is talking about, okay, so was killed. Her family said she had voiced concerns about sexual harassment by a superior. This is really, really upsetting because I'm pretty sure, because there is a resource out there, it's Sapper. I'm pretty sure they don't just have that for, it's like for DoD, so it's not exclusive to just like Navy. It's kind of upsetting that she didn't reach out to them, although, you can't blame her for not taking that action. She's a victim of this. It's definitely something that I'm kind of disgusted about. During field training, the report said a superior walked near her while she was showering or cleaning up. That is jacked up. Yeah, no, when we were in, I was even in, just boot camp or something like that. During hygiene time, all the guys in their compartment and all the gals in their compartment, the doors were sealed off, and any RDCs of the opposite gender had to leave that compartment. And, you weren't allowed to leave the head or the bathroom until you were pretty much completely clothed in one way or another. So the fact that he was able to do that, they don't have the same rules in the Army, which is pretty concerning because, military has definitely tried to take a bunch of actions to try and limit all the sexual assault and harassment that goes on. But as evident by this article, it's still happening, and this is pretty bad to the extent that it happened. Let's see. So we're trying to solicit all this stuff. So from the 3 articles that I read, the Texas Tribune, it didn't focus too heavily on one aspect of the story, but I don't think it had the full story. One thing I will credit that document for, or rather the article for, is that it had a link to the formal document containing all the information about the incident, which is probably where they got all their sources, maybe some of their quotations and stuff like that. The CNN article failed to bring up all the relevant information. This one was very in-depth. I'm not even at the end of it now. It goes all the way to, just about here. Dang. But I think this specific article, the New York Times, probably did the best job out of conveying that message. I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen recording right now. That pretty much well demonstrates my point. Some articles, even though it's the same story, same information, all that stuff, they cover it very differently, and some of them do much better jobs than others. And some articles, they don't even proofread correctly. So you'll have very basic like misspellings and stuff like that. This one was pretty good. I didn't see anything that really stood out as far as like bad grammar or anything. The one from CNN, it had confusing wording. The message was a little unclear. The information wasn't all there, and I believe it was too short to adequately convey its message. And the hyperlinks that it did have were just to other like supplemental articles, but they didn't have enough information in the article body as a whole. So for that reason, I'd say probably that first one wasn't very good. New York Times one was pretty all right. And then the Texas Tribune was probably somewhere soft medium. So we have a nice progression, you know, if you were to rank those. But this probably just depends article to article. You have different writers for different articles based on where they work. And this one, I guess the writer for the specific article I just read did a pretty good job, but the other two, subpar, mediocre at best. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had for the journalism aspect of this. The other journalism-related subject I wanted to talk about was commentary channels. Now, commentary channels, right? They're on YouTube, kind of similar to what I'm doing right now. This is kind of more of a podcast, but commentary channels, what they like to do is basically the same thing that a lot of news articles like to do. One thing that they love is just trending topics. That's probably the only thing they really talk about. They talk about what's trending, which is really just, it's kind of scummy, right? Because they know it's going to get clicks. They take advantage of any situation that comes up, whether it's drama on YouTube or it's something that happened in the news. More or less stuff that just happens on YouTube. They like to cover YouTube drama the most, as well as stuff on Twitter and other social media platforms. But yeah, some news articles, they do something similar to this, and I'd like to draw this parallel. So for news articles, what they like to do, especially like BuzzFeed, for example, I saw this one article recently because, you know, I was browsing through pretty much, I wanted to be pretty diverse, go through every single source of news that I could find, all the trending ones, and BuzzFeed was one of them, and they based their entire article on one thread on a subreddit, which, you know, is already, you know, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel when you're doing that. But what they did is 90% of their article was just quoting the different Reddit users. They added pretty much nothing, and they named tons and tons of celebrities. And the reason why it became trending is probably because they were able to tag that article by using all the celebrity names, as well as the subject and Reddit. So that's probably why it was trending. A lot of news articles basically do that. That's probably one of like a hyperbolic example, but it is a real example of what these articles like to do. YouTube is somewhat similar. They do lots of clickbait. And then they put all these tags based on loosely relevant things, sometimes not even related to the video. In fact, that's one of the things they suggest in order to grow your channel, is to add a bunch of tags that aren't even related to the video, but are trending topics. And that's a really scummy thing to do. I noticed that whenever I upload a video now, YouTube says pretty much something along the lines of tags don't necessarily like affect your video, how many views you're going to get or anything like that. I think it says something along the lines of it's more for just like misspellings, if your title is spelt weirdly or something like that. Now, one thing I'll give commentary channels credit for is that some of them have branched away from this kind of clickbait cancer, right? They want to diversify, whether it's just adding a new aspect to their channel, whether that's like gameplay or video reviews or something like that. And I'm not talking about like review channels, or what are they even called? I think it's just review channels where basically they just like watch videos that are trending and then like pretty much add nothing to it. They almost upload the entire video, you know, on their channel and just watch it, and they just are all like this. Huh. Hey, that's funny. Look at this man. It's pretty garbage, but no, I mean stuff like a film review or something like that, where they have to, be in depth. They're obviously not going to post the film in its entirety because, that's against copyright. Let's see. So yeah, some of them have branched away from this, and unfortunately, not everyone has jumped on board with doing stuff like that. They have a particular tone of voice and message that they're trying to convey with each of these. Now, some of these people, when drama comes up, they will try to vilify a person or use like ad hominem or something like that, something pretty cowardly. Or if they do have any argument at all, it's pretty poorly constructed. Usually it doesn't have a lot of flow, it doesn't have any organization. And then they use like a straw man fallacy. They like to use that one a lot. Basically what that is they pose the argument of the opposition in a much weaker way than it actually is. Like, for example, and this is, I'm not going to share my opinions about it or anything, but one example of a straw man fallacy is saying, oh, you're okay with abortions, you're okay with infanticide or something like that. That's a pretty much straw man fallacy, right? And then the other one on the other side of the coin is, oh, you're okay with women getting raped, right? That's not what their actual argument is. It's just a weaker form of it so that they can attack it and make their argument seem more valid. So they love to do that. And another thing that they try is they try to differentiate themselves from all the others. They add some sort of new aspect to it, maybe their editing style or what have you, or even just how they speak and what their message is. Ironically, when they do this, they basically do the same thing that every other commentary channel does, and then they claim to be unique somehow, even though they all copy each other. So it's pretty ironic that they do that. Now, one thing I briefly mentioned was editing style. When it comes to audience retention, like for a video like this, where I'm basically just talking to the camera, talking about pretty dry subjects in general, audience retention is probably going to be about 30 seconds for this video. People are just going to click off. They're all like, this is boring. Look at this man. He's not really communicating a whole lot. And it's pretty unfortunate. So what people try to do to combat this, and you see this even with, the most popular, the biggest YouTubers out there, their editing style. Watch one of these videos, like the super popular ones, the ones that everyone watches, the ones with the most subscribers, yada, yada, yada. Most of them have some sort of change in camera angle, in zoom function, any visuals that they add or something like that, or basically just like an angle change or anything that is visually different. And they do that as frequently as pretty much every 8 seconds. Like 8 seconds is probably the longest you'll go without some sort of, here's a visual on the screen. And there's a pretty bad problem if you do stuff like that. It can increase the risk of like ADD and other attention deficiency related items. So it's an editing style that I think I have used to an extent for some of the gameplay videos on my channel. And for that, I'll admit, I have done that before. And even the best YouTubers out there, they have done that. And they're contributing to this idea of, in order to get people to stay watching my videos, in order to engage them instead of communicating and having them think about what I'm saying, I'm just going to have a bunch of visuals pop up here, there, left, right, just to get them to pay attention, which is pretty sad. But, even the best do it. Let's see. What else was there I wanted to talk about for commentary channels? One good example I'd like to share about like a commentary channel would probably be someone like Pyrocynical, right? He has all sorts of videos on his channel. I think he strayed away from the commentary aspect of it. He was like the only guy ever to survive a Twitter allegation, right? I won't care to get into that. You can watch his stuff if you want to find out what it's about. It was pretty ridiculous, but the fact that he was able to argue his point and defend himself in an accurate way while admitting to his shortcomings was not only very respectable, but it was very agreeable. So he was able to convey his message very well, which is probably one of the biggest aspects to any commentary that you have for any subject, is being able to convey yourself in a way that your audience may find it agreeable or understandable if they don't agree, right? Because I don't expect everyone to agree with something like whatever I'm saying. There's going to be dislikes on any video that I do, probably, if anyone, ever actually watches them. But basically, what he has done to really stand out from the crowd is add other things to his channel, not just like cancerous vlogging or anything like that. It was more, he wanted to be ironic, sarcastic, cynical, and wholesome all at the same time, and he managed to pull it off. I don't know how, but he's done gameplay, which, lots and lots and lots of YouTubers have done, but he also has branched into film analyzing, which is pretty interesting. I've seen some of the films he reviews. He doesn't review like the popular ones or anything like that. He reviews the ones that people expect to be bad, and then he explains why are they bad, why are they mediocre, why are they not as bad as we thought, why are they worse than we thought they could be, or why are they just so good and maybe even underappreciated because maybe the message went right over the audience's head. He's not one-sided about it either. He acknowledges the other side, and then at the end he gives his verdict, pretty much, which is a nice format. I very much like those videos. But unfortunately, stuff like that is not very profitable on YouTube. Now, for me personally, my channel is too small to even have monetization on any of my videos. But I don't really care about that too much because I wouldn't want monetization on pretty much any of my videos. If I would put it on any, it would probably be for like gameplay and then just commentary. But I wouldn't want to have it on anything like workouts or relaxing videos because that would defeat the purpose of the workout or relaxation. The last thing you want to do when you're pumping iron is see some Toyota commercial pop up on your screen just blasting. You don't care about that. You're working on your body. Or when you're trying to relax and it's very quiet and all that stuff, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's all like, get 15% off your next home loan or something like that. Like, no, I don't care. That's not why I'm watching this video. I mentioned it in the previous one. One of my videos got copyright claimed, which is unfortunate. That was because I didn't understand royalty-free and copyright-free. So that's why I'm going to be doing my own music if I ever have background music. But basically what other YouTubers try to do who do cover trending topics, they pretty much just leech off the subject, get their paycheck, and there's no passion involved. They only do it to flex, and they all pretty much do and look the same. So with that, unfortunately, there's like a personality deficit when it comes to like commentary in general. People talk about the same things, and it's understandable why they do it. It's unfortunate that they do it, which is why for my videos, I'm going to try to talk about different subjects that not everyone talks about, some subjects that people aren't willing to talk about. But yeah, I hope you were able to learn something from the stuff that I talked about today. This portion of the video, starting now, whatever, is going to be a bit of a channel update. It's going to be pretty quick. So basically, I'm going to be doing some more of these just like kind of talking videos, like podcast and whatnot. Working title for what I'm going to call it, probably the Wolfcast, because I'm a wolf or whatever. And then eventually I'm going to stream them when I have the time, resources, and, flexibility to do so. I also want to have, if, it's even viable or reasonable to do this, that's when I would do live stream. Because, if there's going to be no one watching the live stream, then I would much rather just have a static video that's been edited somewhat and then upload that. That way I can get rid of any awkward pauses or anything like that. Not guaranteeing that it's going to be the best of edits, but, I will continue to upload relaxing videos, workouts. I always do the workouts first week at the beginning of each month, just for a new routine, because exercise is very important, just as it is relaxing and self-care, which is why I focus on those two things primarily on my channel. Gameplay is more just for funsies for me, because I like to edit. It's a fun practice. I'm not going to say I'm the best at it. I've had no training ever, so I kind of just wing it and hope for the best. Sometimes it doesn't turn out very well, but if you ever do want to see gameplay on this channel, then I will do gameplay as per request. If you have a certain game you want me to play, if I have it, which maybe I will, maybe I won't, or maybe if I just want to get it and try it out, then feel free to leave a comment or something like that, just saying, hey, play more Dark Souls or something like that. I'll respond, I'll make a video. I'm going to be pretty responsive to pretty much every comment that shows up, because, I don't really get that many comments. Not that there's a problem with that. I think that's fine. But, it's always good to hear feedback because, I want to constantly improve. I don't want to just stay some lowly troglodyte on the internet just trying to upload cringy videos for people to watch and not enjoy myself. So that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. That's all this is going to be for this video. Right now the recording is sitting at a fat 44 almost minutes. When I edit it down, hopefully it's going to be shorter than that. But either way, thanks for sticking around, and ta-ta for now.